first-time home buyers, folks like me who get the runaround from banks, and he got us pre-qualified. Knowledge Tree Mortgage got us our mortgage. And tomorrow, my wife and I are going to become first-time home buyers. Here's the number, 859-9599. 859-9599. Money doesn't grow on trees. Knowledge does. Knowledge Tree Mortgage, 859-9599. 859-9599.
From the Nashville Sports Radio Media Complex, this is the George Plaster Show. Call George now at 615-844-5600 and online at WNSR.com. And now, George Plaster.
Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown, Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Kelly Holcomb, along with Young Gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a hot, humid Tuesday afternoon in Nashville. But what do you expect on June the 4th, 2024? We got a really good show for you. I'll tell you up front, at 5:20 today, we're going to do something that not only are you going to want to hear it if you're listening on radio, but later you're going to want to go on the podcast and look at it. It's a little hard to believe. I'll set it all up at 5:20. So we have apparently a late bulletin that has come in. Let's bring Kelly Holcomb to our microphones. Kelly, apparently, in what can only be considered a tragedy, Billy is injured.
What's wrong with Billy?
Kelly, your wish has been granted.
Are you two for barbecue, Billy?
Yeah, did you do some research on that and figure out what it was?
No, I did not. I did not disrupt my night with that. No.
Ask me if I did.
George, did you?
Hell no.
You'll need to get into the 21st century.
Yeah,
here.
whatever.
But anyway, I was playing basketball last night and I got hit in the throat. So I'm going to be a little raspy today.
I wish I was the one that was hitting you in the throat.
You realize
Did it hurt, Billy?
That's condoning violence.
Right away, for about a minute or two, couldn't breathe, couldn't talk. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it originally was, but I think we're good.
That sucks.
Did you say to yourself,
it's awful.
It's the end of my broadcast life?
Well, I was thinking about today, and the next morning it's always worse. So I feel like I have a sore throat, but it's actually getting hit in the throat.
Did Mommy make you some warm milk last night?
Yeah, she did.
Did she fluff up your pillow for you and put you a little chocolate on the pillow, Billy?
Grow up, Kelly.
Yeah, really. That is a little harsh. So, Billy, imagine if you couldn't talk for 3 months.
I was actually thinking about you.
Yeah.
With this happening. At least I can talk, but I can't imagine not being able to talk.
I have never seen more people in our city happier than when I couldn't be on the air. So I had to wear this button telling people, we've got a little issue here. And I remember a guy at the Preds game came up and took a look at the button, started laughing, and walked away. Speaking of someone I wanted to slug, Billy, one of your assignments, as you know, is an award-winning update.
Yes, it is. And we've got it ready and raring to go.
No, hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on. Lori's not ready yet.
Okay.
How would you personally rate this update, given your injury status, which I'm sure made you sleep till 1 today?
This is probably not going to be the most professional update, but
really, why is that?
Well, I mean, the info is good, but I don't want to go mute today.
Why does the standard have to go down, Billy?
So, no, I think what Billy is saying is that he's got to, conserve the voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you bring throat lozenges?
No, I was talking to somebody last night. They're like, "How is that going to help a bruise on your like on your throat.
It's not, but it gives us something.
It may coat it. It may coat it. You never know, Billy, but you got to be prepared for things like this.
I got water. I don't think I need a throat lozenge.
So you have water.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You think that's going to help the bruise?
I don't know what's going to help it.
Right.
I'm probably just waiting till this goes away.
Waiting patiently.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to item number 1.
Well, it's all brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland.
Certainly
you can
is.
Visit her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give a call 615-969-4350. Super regional dates and times have been set. Tennessee and Evansville, a couple of tough time slots here. 2 o'clock Central Time on Friday on ESPN2, and then 11 a.m. That's actually noon Eastern.
I don't think it is.
Is it 10 a.m. Central?
No, I think it's 10 a.m. When I saw it, I was like,
okay, I thought
hello. So
that's
what do
ridiculous.
we got? Pre-game at Tony's house at 5 in the morning?
Yeah.
What in the world?
I've always thought about it. I mean, at least it's 11 a.m. Eastern for them. It's not, but it still probably feels the same.
Look, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to space them out and show you a bunch of stuff. I don't guess they're going to farm this out to TNT.
No.
Yes.
I was listening to Tony's show earlier today, and they were talking about how they just want to get this series out of the way because they think it's going to be 2 in barbecue.
Well, and it probably will be, but it's that kind of attitude that can get one in trouble.
Well, it's also if you lose Friday, you got to get up early at 11 a.m. So winning Friday is important.
After having maybe been hungover or whatever. I mean, you got to rebound quickly. So I guess if you're going to play at 10, curfew the night before is at 9:30 on a Friday night in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Good luck.
Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on. Georgia is set to play NC State at noon Eastern Time on Saturday, and then Sunday at noon Eastern Time as well. We'll talk more about that one with Marc Weiszer coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And Kentucky is playing Oregon State. That starts Saturday. Clemson in Florida starts Saturday. That'll be on ESPN, all 3 of those games. So that'll
be theirs at midnight?
No, theirs is Saturday at 2 o'clock. So, and then A&M and Oregon as well, starting Saturday. Those are the SEC series. 49ers have given Christian McCaffrey a 2-year extension, $19 million per year.
Okay, stop there because we want to conserve your voice.
Thank you.
Why does he get all this money and Saquon Barkley has to be in the welfare line until he goes to Philly? Help me with this, Kelly.
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew you were going to start that. I really did. I mean, good gracious, how did I pin that? I don't know, George. Saquon is a generational talent. Christian McCaffrey does a lot of things. I don't know. It just depends on what a team's willing to give. And obviously the San Francisco 49ers know just how much he means to Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I don't think that was the case when he was with the Giants. I don't understand why the Giants did not step up to the plate. I mean, you can look at the numbers, and when he didn't play, the Giants were not very good. And then when he did play, they won some games. So I never understood that. But, you know, obviously the San Francisco 49ers realized just how important and what kind of a cog in the wheel that Christian McCaffrey is, and they paid him.
So they're one team that has not colluded.
They have not colluded. They didn't pay attention to what all the other coaches were saying. They said, you know what? We're going to pay the guy.
So, Billy, we've conserved your voice.
Yeah.
And yet we've had witty repartee.
Repartee.
Yeah, whatever that means.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Move on.
Anyway, Brandon Ayuk and CeeDee Lamb are skipping mandatory minicamp as they await their contract extensions. So Ayuk, a 49er receiver, CeeDee Lamb.
The old CD's got them by the Jerry world.
Yes,
you know what? He's sitting here. This is his reaction to missing. Mandatory this.
That's true.
The mandatory, voluntary, I mean...
Glorified
does anybody
babysitting.
care about minicamp?
It's June.
Well, they used to, but they don't anymore, man. It doesn't.
Have you
Doesn't
ever
affect
seen a
guys.
scoreboard in June in the National Football League?
No, but that's where it all starts, George, in the off season. Let's go. I mean, you got to start somewhere. It starts in the off season. You start building team chemistry. You start, getting reps with your receiver. I mean, it all starts in June. So
Why
I
don't
don't
they
know.
do
We'll
that in
see.
basketball if it's so damn important?
Basketball, you just throw a ball out there and say, "Go get it, fellas,
Oh,
score." And then
yeah.
if you play defense, if you want to play
Right.
defense, you can. If you don't worry
It's
about
optional.
it. It's no big deal. Yeah, it's optional.
Yes, no.
Okay, George, did you see this Tucapita Marcana story? I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Is
that.
this the guy that bet?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
got a lifetime ban by Major League Baseball for betting on baseball. He placed hundreds of bets on baseball, including wagers involving the Pirates when he was with the team last season. MLB said that he placed 387 baseball bets totaling more than $150,000 in October of 2022.
Did he win any of them?
He's just trying to make a little extra cash, fellas. I mean, good gracious.
Off-season cash. Here's the part, because it's not totally a laughing matter. I get the fact that baseball is worried about things like fixes. I do. But there's a huge but here. But if you're so damn concerned about all this gambling, then don't allow all these kiosks in the concourse of your stadiums. That's called talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Agreed, absolutely. And stop taking money. I mean, it's just like the NFL. They're doing the same thing. And I said it yesterday. They were so big on not gambling or not having any of that go on, and then they have the Super Bowl in Vegas last year.
Yes.
There you go, baby.
He became the first active player in a century to be banned for life because of gambling, and he's the first active major leaguer banned under the new gambling provision since, or maybe not new, but New York Giants outfielder Jimmy O'Connell in 1924, and of course Pete Rose in 1989. So this is
35 years worth.
There's not much of a precedent for this.
Does he get an appeal?
I don't know. I don't know how that works out.
The
damage is done.
Has the penalty been laid down, or is that the speculation?
No, he's gotten a lifetime ban.
He's got
it's
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
All I'm saying is this: then don't be phony and don't have your teams putting kiosks in the concourse.
I wonder,
because I viewed one of those a year ago in Cincinnati, ironically, at Great American Small Park.
Oh, where it all went down with the Alabama coach? Were you at the same one that was in the ballpark?
No, I was there. I was there for a Braves Reds game. I don't know about the Alabama one, although I think you're right.
But I think that's the same one.
So,
but does this happen more? Do we look
sure
ahead 2 years from now and there's another lifetime ban?
What
about the NFL? I mean, does it start? Do they even have a lifetime ban?
The NFL seems to be more 1 year and then you appeal, which is what I think baseball ought to do.
The lifetime ban, I don't get. Is that just an unwritten rule of baseball?
Yeah, it's pardon the verb here, it's plastered. Did you notice that? On when you go in a major league locker room or dugout, it's there. Signage.
So let me ask you two guys this: does it matter on the player? If the player's kind of a no-name guy who does this, yeah, you're getting it. But if you get hey, we had the Shohei Ohtani thing, and nobody really knew until it all came out, which, what do you do with that, George?
It shouldn't.
Well, going back 35 years, Peter Edward Rose was Major League Baseball's all-time hit leader.
That's true.
So at least 35 years ago, which is shocking that it's been that long. Good Lord.
It's crazy.
Anyway, Billy, is the update done?
It's done.
I have to say it had meat on the bone.
A little bit.
It did. We will go to the break, And then we'll head to Knoxville. Tony Basilio will join us. We'll talk Vols in the Super Regional. We'll get into a bunch of different stuff as you listen to the George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Nashville, get ready for the greatest show on turf. Electrifying, high-octane, non-stop spring football action. Starting at only $30. Don't miss the season opener this April 27th at Municipal Auditorium.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fisher. The Nashville Cats are bringing arena football back to Nashville.
Grab your tickets now at thenashvillecats.com and be part of the action.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Full Service Community Bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And now, Sunspace Sunrooms RVM Development are proudly saluting our troops and veterans. Their tireless efforts should never go unnoticed. This message is brought to you by Sunspace Sunrooms RVM Development. For maintenance-free enclosures, sunrooms, screen rooms, patios, and more, give Russ a call today and ask about their senior, military, and first responder discounts. 423-225-2414. 423-225-2414. Or visit sunspacesunrooms.com. That's Sunspace Sunrooms RVM Development. They're professionals who care.
It's the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Pretend like you can go take a walk and the cicadas aren't going to be there and they aren't going to be loud and it's not going to be a problem. So I've adjusted my schedule for outside activities until the cicadas are gone. I'm not going to go outside and pretend like the cicadas are going to leave me alone because I had an outside agenda. They've been having this outside agenda now for 13 to 17 years.
The McFarland Show with Darren and Justin on Nashville Sports Radio WNSR.
Okay, we welcome all of you back from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. We send it up to Knoxville, Tennessee, and we say hello to Tony Basilio, one of the finest of Knoxville sports talk show hosts. He's had a busy weekend. He's had watch parties. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got some Rocky Top.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you,
so
brother.
What was your weekend like?
Pretty busy. Look at me. I just I laid down for 15 minutes, George, and I woke up and it was time to do your show, and I laid down at like 2:30 my time. So if that tells you anything. Yeah, we did our post game show 3 consecutive days, and you know, when you go, eventually it catches up to you. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun here.
Oh, it is. And congrats on where they've gone so far, and I think headed to even bigger and better. So let me throw it out this way. We know Lindsey Nelson Stadium is going to be expanded, and it's a beautiful scene. Billy showing a picture right there. How many tickets could they have sold this weekend to that fan base?
George, they announced their crowd at 6,500. I think there was closer to 9,000 in their stadium the other night. I was told by somebody that basically the NCAA told them, just keep letting people in. Don't turn people away. Standing room only. They sold enough standing room that there wasn't any standing room left.
That's some serious standing room.
It looked like Friday night in there. You could not have put another person in that place. It was an utter scene to behold. And quite frankly, no harm, no foul, but it was a gigantic crowd for a college baseball game. And it was an awesome scene in that place. It really was. These people are in love with this team. They kind of embody what the Tennessee fan base is about. The good things Tennessee fan base is about. And it's not just the winning, it's the way they win, it's the way they play together, it's the way they play for each other. There's just so much that's really refreshing about these guys, George, and the way that they go about their deal. And, you know, Tony Vitello called them out the other night for leaving Saturday's game. Tennessee's making this look so easy that these games are, at least last round, are really kind of long and tedious because they're not really competitive.
Between TV timeouts that are way too long, and the number of pitches, is college baseball, because I watched a bunch of it this weekend.
Yeah,
like a lot of people, I'm into it. Are the games too long?
When they have to be, George. When you start about 4-hour baseball games, I mean, Major League Baseball got their hands around that, and college has the pitch clock. The problem with college is the umpires, at least this year, and this is an opinion Billy shares, I know, the umpiring, the way they're calling balls and strikes has gotten too fine. And over the weekend, Tennessee had 29 walks. I mean, they walked 29 times. Now, they had a couple pitchers that couldn't find the zone, which is another thing that happens at this level versus its major league counterpart, which can make the game tough to watch when these guys lose the zone. But there's way too much walking. And there's just like you said, there's way too many pitches thrown, not enough balls put in play. And the other problem with the college game too, way too many replays. Way too many replays.
Totally agree.
They're looking at everything. I mean, come on, guys. Just make a call. Make a call and make somebody mad. I mean, life isn't fair.
So I get into when crowds really respond. We have it here, Predators in the playoffs. I'll contend that
Yeah.
only Madison Square Garden, when the Knicks are playing in May, is louder.
Yes.
Tell me about the flag waving and Fulkerson and all that stuff.
I was on that porch, that's a guy named W. Lynn Hatcher, who's a local legend here, a real nut. He calls the show. We call him W. Lynn. He's classic. That flag is for real. That thing is like on some kind of stick. I don't know what the stick's made of, but I was joking with him the other day that when people touch that flag touches them. And he said he started to cry. So we really are having fun with this team, like I said. And it is interesting seeing other athletes from other sports that get in the baseball stadium and just love it.
Yeah.
And, and there's a sense of collegiality on Tennessee's campus where there's so much that's going well across all these sports, and they just kind of push each other, but they encourage each other. And this team does not look like they should have the second best pitching staff in the SEC, but they do. This team does not look like that team from a couple of years ago that was just ripping through college baseball, but their numbers say that they're right there with them. Home run wise, they broke that team's record, but this year you had something called a 10-run rule. That team racked up a lot of their numbers in those 10-run, what now would be, they were beating
games.
Teams like, they were beating teams like back then. Poor Rhode Island one night. They brought Rhode Island in there. They brought that fur coat out so much I thought it was going to be a fashion show. and I mean, they're celebrating and doing they're beating this team by 27 runs. The next day on the air, I'm like, what are we doing here? At any rate, this year, they capped the runs, and this team's so scary, George, and it's unfair that, like my partner Bino said the other day, you get through Tennessee's first 5 hitters, you breathe a sigh of relief, and here comes Kavaris Tearsop, who's ginormous. He's hitting 6 in a college baseball lineup. I mean, these guys they're crazy good at the plate. That said, this weekend's a little tricky for me because, first of all, we don't count our chickens around here. The second thing is, this Evansville team has 2 crafty left-hand pitchers. And if it's one thing that's kind of kryptonite to Tennessee, it's crafty left-handed pitchers. And 2 guys that, are not going to throw in the mid-90s, going to throw in the high 80s, going to get you out with more of their guile and pitch-making ability. The problem in Tennessee, though, is if you can't throw the ball by these guys, eventually they're going to figure you out. That's eventually what happens here.
Billy, as I turn this to Kelly, will you put the first picture up of Lindsey Nelson Stadium? And way out in the outfield, I noticed are all these tents. I mean, it looks like there had to be 100 of those tents out there.
Yes.
Which just blew my mind.
So George, what they have is they have a triple decker porch out there in left field.
Yeah.
It started out as 1 deck. When Tony first did it, I thought, Tony, nobody's going to come to that. That's what I told him. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay. And then the next year they build another one. And then the next year they build another one. And the truth is, when they get done their stadium renovations, they're going to have luxury boxes going around it. They're going to have a lot more seating. It's going to go to, around, I guess, 8,000 is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the other night they had well over 8,000 in that place the other night.
Oh, it looks like it.
I mean, that is from Friday. That's an insane scene. That standing room is down left center there. And I said today on the air, there were so many people up there. I thought either Moses was going to show up to lead his people. I mean, I couldn't figure out how there were so many people up there. I tell you, the ticket was such a demand the other night that Tennessee had family members of the team that were in standing room.
Oh, wow.
That's what the ticket demand was like.
Yeah. Kelly, the floor is yours. Go.
So Tony, everybody, and I know you've heard the comparisons, and we've even talked about it. I think I've asked you every week, but the comparisons of the team a couple of years ago to this one, what makes this team different than that team?
Well, I think any team's different. So, I mean, we'll
Right.
just start there. I think that team was better on paper. I think this team, though, it doesn't matter what the score is. This team has shown the ability. Like the other night, they were down 3-2 in the 6th inning. You know, and if I'm a Tennessee hater, I'm watching that game and going, man, these guys are in trouble here. And they scored. They boat raced that team. They scored like the next 10 runs in the game. They have zero conscience when they're playing. I mean, they don't even look at the score. They don't. They make a throwing error, throw the ball around a little bit, like a lot of these college teams do, and they don't even flinch. Another thing that's interesting about Tony's coaching, you will hardly ever, if ever, I don't think I've ever seen any of those guys get after any of their players on a baseball field. We were talking about that today on the air. It just came up. Their style of coaching is, we'll handle that in practice. Games are for games. And so we've seen guys running outs at third base. Josh Elander, who's a future head coach, doesn't show anybody up. We've had guys run through stop signs, and then when they go home, like in close games, and Tony doesn't. You know, I know they address that stuff when they get behind closed doors. He's told me that. But their style is just to not get in the way once games start. And those kids play really loosely. And it's a big factor in how they play, how they approach things.
That's good coaching, though, Tony. I mean, that's how you do it. You don't want to show guys up. You just, and that's what makes different from the profession that I played to, like a major league manager or whatever. Like Tony La Russa, I just used to remember him, and Tony Vitello's the same way. I mean, there's all kind of stuff going on, and he never changes. He's over there with his hands crossed. He never changes.
Right.
And that's kind of a soothing deal for your kids. I mean, if you get a coach that gets high and then gets low, you want to be consistent. And I've had coaches that just went crazy, but it just seems like, and I said it, they take on the persona of their coach. And Tony Vitello has got swag about him. He's confident, and I think that's what his team is, and it's portrayed on the field.
Yeah, and the guy at East Carolina, it's interesting, was behaving like Butch Jones yesterday. He had his chart out. He was pointing and moaning and calling timeout and getting in the way of his game and making an inordinate number of pitching changes. And then after the game, he went after Evansville's coach, who we're supposed to talk to in the next couple of days. He went after him because his players were dogpiling on his field after the game.
Gosh.
I mean, what is the team supposed to do when they just went to the regional?
Yeah, it's the greatest moment by a mile in the history of that school.
I'm a four seed. I'm sorry if you guys can't play. I'm a 4 seed. I'm sorry. And by the way, I'm not sleeping on Evansville this week, guys. I'm not, because they're veteran. They're good. They believe in themselves. They had a kid yesterday in the outfield who hit a home run in the game, made a great running catch right at the warning track in like the 8th inning of that game. And over there in East Carolina, they have a tremendous deal there where they have in their outfield, they call it the jungle. They have people right on top of the play out there. He took the ball that they thought was a home run and just flipped it up into the stands after he caught it, as if to say, here's a little souvenir for you. And that's how they play. Those guys are loose. They have fun playing the game. They were the best team in that regional all weekend. And it was interesting to me that they got pounded Sunday night, and they came right back there on Monday and beat them. I was really impressed with them. It's a shame they're in Tennessee's region, because I'd like to cheer for them.
Kelly, they got beaten 19. I think it was 19-6.
Yeah, that's right.
Sunday. Yeah. He's making a great point. You would have thought they'd get trashed on Monday, anything but that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to bring up Evansville. Like, I know that you said they've got 2 crafty lefties, but like, what else concerns you about that team? Just the experience?
They've got of the people that play, the first 11 guys they call on are all seniors. So in a lot of ways, they kind of remind you of the Notre Dame team. They came in here 2 years ago, maybe a junior version of that Notre Dame team. That Notre Dame team had more pitching and bigger athletes, but the thing they're going to have in common with that Notre Dame team that upset Tennessee is those guys will come into that stadium and they won't be afraid. They're playing their best baseball of the year right now. And look, what do I think is going to happen? I think the Vols are going to sweep this team. However, nothing, baseball is a game where you're only as good as how hot you are and how healthy you are. And Evansville checks both those boxes the way they're playing.
So Tony, with you having the pulse of the Knoxville community and everything, do you feel like, a couple of years ago when they had the Super Regional, you talked about Notre Dame and they got up and the whole stadium kind of, froze. Are you sensing a little tension in the Knoxville fan? No, not at all.
No, because Kelly, this team's different. This team feels like when you're in one of these markets and something feels destined to happen, that's what this team feels like. And it's almost like, you've paid your dues. Left in the tournament right now, there are 6 teams of the 16 left, or no, I think it's 4 of 16 who have actually won the national championship. Tennessee has no other SEC teams on their side of the bracket if they can get through this weekend. So they won't see an SEC team till they get to the championship game. Look, the Southeastern Conference is clearly the class of this thing. They just are. I mean, it just is, and they just are. And, despite even the bumps the league took over the weekend, the league's still excellent, And the teams that are left are excellent. That Florida team, like we were saying on here, I was telling you guys when Tennessee saw them, all those young arms, and they came through for them out of the losers bracket the other day. That was the strength of getting them through. I would not bet against that Florida team. I would not bet against them.
No, because Caglione will hit a 6-run homer on you if you're not careful.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Billy.
George, I'll tell you where I am, Billy. I picked last week on the air. My pick to click was Vanderbilt on the show on Friday, and you guys went right out and made me look like the fool I am. Thank you. Very good.
Two and barbecue, as Billy likes to say.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, that was not good. Tony, real quick, A.J. Russell, I mean, he won't really come into play this weekend, but when they get to Omaha, is there a point where, you want him to come back? Do you need him back? I mean, he's going to come into play here eventually, right?
No, I don't think you see him again.
Okay.
Okay, for people who are new, either listening to our show or watching the podcast, tell them, number one, how they can reach you and what plans you have this weekend for watching and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, tclub.team is the easiest place to find us. You can find me at Tony Basilio, Basilio, spelled like the old boxer, Carmen Basilio. And yes, we are related. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
The truth about this weekend, George, is that I wear several hats, one of which is I play music as well as do my show. We already had a gig scheduled at Calhoun's on the River. You can't make this up on Saturday.
Wow.
On Saturday. I had told my listening audience that if Tennessee wins, whether it's 2 or 3 this weekend, since it is going to be Saturday morning, we're going to do our post-game show that we do after every game live at Calhoun's on the River, George. Picture this.
I love it.
And then we'll do a 3-hour call-in show. I'll take my headset off, walk right over and pick my guitar up and play music for 3 hours. Now, I told my son Anthony that today at breakfast when we found out kind of what the draw times were. I had a friend at ESPN who kind of let us in on the deal early. And he said, "Do you plan on living to see Sunday? Like, what's the goal here?"
He's right, by the way. He's absolutely right.
He is right. But, I am so looking forward to, because I'm like you, man. People just jazz me up. The being there jazzes me up. We're going to do a post-game show live and have a celebration out there on the river And look, here's my thing about making the College World Series. A lot of Tennessee fans are making it win the whole thing or bust. And I'm not one of them. Look, I think if you get to a College World Series, you've had a hell of a season.
Yes.
And it's worth celebrating. And this whole concept of you have to win the whole thing, that just look that the Predators did not win the Stanley Cup when the Penguins beat them several years ago, George, does not mute the fact that they had an incredible run, won several series. I mean, none of that, or the Titans that year they got to the Super Bowl and fell like an inch short. I mean, as a culture, we have to say, you can't just say, oh, if you don't win, it's a failure.
No, you're absolutely right. I got to stop there. Thank you as always. I hope you have a heck of a weekend.
Thank you, guys. Sorry for being wordy. Thank you.
No, great stuff. Tony Basilio joining us from Knoxville. We'll have a little college NCAA tournament stuff when we come back. You're listening to the George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM. As you might be able to tell, my buddy Stan Harrison, he's an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, but he's actually here to talk about Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, Middle Tennessee. I'm Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers, and we understand the stress it causes in having an automobile accident. We can help you ease the stress of the auto body repair process at our 3 locations. We're conveniently located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. We've got rental cars available, we have PDR technicians available, and we have windshield technicians available. Please stop by one of our places and see us if you need our services.
And by the way, when you come in his office, this just in, he's a sports fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
The Alley Pub, Bellevue's best sports bar and grill.
It's JB and the General.
You're 6'9" for Joe Alton and ran a good 40. 5:04, I believe was.
I think I saw a little bit of his workout. It looked like he was moving around pretty well.
Looked good. I will say this though: Chargers at 5, he's going to play right tackle for them. So if he makes it past then, maybe you can get him to the Titans at 7. But apparently he's not making it past number 5.
Really,
so it is unfortunate.
Weekdays 9 to 11, live on WNSR.
So from time to time, ESPN gets ripped, and at times some of it feels like it's because it's damn near a monopoly. I can remember when Fox Sports decided they were going up against SportsCenter. How'd that work out? My point where I'm going with this is, for the amount of heat ESPN catches at times, and some of it is deserved, they have built college baseball in this tournament. You can call it what you want, but our ability to see all this compared to what I remember growing up, which was, it would have taken a satellite dish from Mars to get a game. You can see the growth in these stadiums. You can see it in us watching. It's really pretty phenomenal. Even the NCAA, in their infinite stupidity, cannot totally screw this up.
I love it. I think it's a really entertaining product. You're seeing games on ESPN. You're seeing games on ESPN2, ESPNU. It's easier. A lot of, George, not too long ago, you could only watch it on streaming, or certain games you couldn't even watch. It was radio only. A lot of times like football, back in the day. So everything's on TV now. And like you said, like a school like Georgia has invested, and now they're in a super for the first time since 2008. Kentucky has invested. The SEC, there's a large percentage of the conference that is fully invested in baseball now, which is kind of scary to think about.
Well, now, first of all, it just means more, as you know.
Yes.
But in fairness, they're getting a check for $82 trillion. They ought to invest in it.
Yeah. But you couldn't say that before the last 3 years, is what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, in a lot of cases,
it was LSU, Vandy, Florida, South Carolina, and Mississippi State, really. Ole Miss occasionally.
All of that said, the Evansville story for 1 week is really cool. They were a 4 seed. What's the number of 4 seeds that have ever advanced?
It's like 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous small number. Anyway, go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I agree with you. I just remember when I was a kid, I loved baseball, and I can remember watching in Rosenblatt Stadium and all the old teams, Arizona State, Texas, all those teams that used to go every year. But you never saw, regional games. You never saw super regionals. You didn't even know anything until you got to the College World Series. And I'll tell you another thing, too. ESPN's done a really good job of women's softball.
Yes.
I mean, they have done a good job on baseball and women's softball. Like softball, you wouldn't think that would be interesting at all, but like I've watched some of the games. It's fast. I mean, it's quick. Those girls are competitive, and it's they've done a really good job in both those sports. So I'm with you. Kudos to ESPN for doing that.
I'll be interested in Kentucky, because Kentucky for years the joke was, here's the order of importance: men's basketball, Keeneland, and then men's football.
That's true.
They would arrange their start times before the SEC got in the middle of it in October, around when Keeneland was running.
Kentucky.
Well, yeah, it seems like all this stuff is trending up, and all these teams are like Billy just said, they're investing in this stuff. Like some of these teams, NIL, all this transfer portal, they're jumping in and they're getting guys. And I will say this, who wants to play baseball in Michigan? Like, who wants to do that? So that's the huge draw for the SEC. Plus these schools are investing. So I'm with Billy on that.
It's hard to make Penn State baseball in February work.
Hey, UConn, if UConn has a chance to make Omaha, that's a pretty good program.
Yeah.
George Springer, I think, played there, and they're back in the supers. They got to play Florida State, though. But, there's some – it's very rare, though, Kelly. You're right, to see northern schools like that. That's why the South dominates ACC, SEC.
I really only saw one regional host that just sort of yawned through it. And it was yesterday with Oklahoma State. A lot of empties. Now, admittedly, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hotter than all get out in Stillwater. I get it. But no, I don't get it, because I've seen other places that get a regional and get stuck in the daytime at 90. Oklahoma State was the one disappointment to me
Yeah, I saw that. Oklahoma ended up losing their regional to Arizona lost theirs. But you're seeing a lot of these home field advantages give them an advantage. And, that sort of helps in the postseason.
Okay, we go after our second consecutive correct stat of the day. And you say, George, that's nothing to brag about. Well, if you've been where we've been, it is. We'll see about it when we come back. You're listening to the George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
With you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
PJ's Painting Service is on the air reminding all motorists to slow down on our roads, keep an eye out for kids at play and in our school zones, and to never text and drive. It can wait. This message courtesy of PJ's Painting Service, serving the area with quality and pride for the last 5 years. For commercial and residential painting, pressure washing, and drywall installs, call PJ's Painting Service today at 256-663-0781, 256-663-0781.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
When was the last time you did something fun with family, friends, coworkers, and clients? What if I told you about a place under one roof that offers affordable entertainment for all ages? That's what you'll find at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers in Donaldson, Hermitage, Tusculum, Hendersonville, and Murfreesboro with bowling, games, food, drink, and entertainment for all ages. Enjoy an enhanced experience in Hendersonville or Murfreesboro where they feature additional fun with bumper cars, laser tag, roller skating, and more. All locations are open 7 days a week, including holidays. Visit online at strikeandspare.com. Strike and Spare, where fun is bowling.
Approaching the top of the hour on a Tuesday. Battling hurt today, George.
Hey, tough it out.
Here we go. Stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, here's what we got today. Tennessee plays Evansville this weekend in the Super Regional. Evansville is a 4 seed, as we mentioned, looking to make the College World Series. Who is the only 4 seed to make the finals of the College World Series?
Okay, I'm assuming the answer, Kelly, is not Ole Miss, because I don't think the tournament committee, they never put the SEC at a 4, because the SEC, it just means more.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
You don't like that.
I mean, what are we?
Well, I think it's kind of a snotty,
I mean, it's true.
Our stuff doesn't smell.
Look at Oklahoma State's attendance.
Yeah, there's some SEC places that from time to time have had problems in sports.
Maybe not
attendance.
Maybe not in the postseason.
Yeah. Kelly, I'm
have,
pleading the 5th, and I
have
think
no clue, George.
And I think you and I have got to say, look, that question's out of control.
I mean, that is out of control, Billy.
It's
like
totally
you and
out
your
of control.
boys.
That's
like,
not
what are
out
we
of control.
It is out
totally
of control.
Out of control. Okay. Would you have known it if you hadn't seen it?
I would have been able to throw out a few. I'm not saying I would have gotten it.
Let's
think
ask,
of some Cinderellas.
You think of some Cinderellas.
I mean, think about the college baseball Cinderellas.
Oh.
UCLA, 15
No.
years ago.
The big conferences are never. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck? Let's go Gonzaga.
Fresno State.
They were a 4?
Yep.
Good Lord.
They won it all in 08. You could have said Stony Brook or
yeah. That
Coastal.
was the last time Georgia was in the College World Series.
Yeah.
Watch some college baseball.
You just lighten up.
Really, Billy? Would you have gotten that, Billy?
I'm not saying.
No, he wouldn't have.
I'm not saying I would have gotten it, but y'all didn't even have any guesses close.
We're a little bitter, but you know what? We'll get over it. To start the 5 o'clock, we'll go to Athens, Georgia. Marc Weiszer will join us, and hope you'll stick around.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. House lawmakers passing a measure to sanction the International Criminal Court after its top prosecutor recommended criminal war crime charges against Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Senate likely won't take up the symbolic bill. Hamas says it won't accept the latest proposal from Israel unless there's a guarantee of a permanent ceasefire. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller says a temporary pause is needed first so talks can begin on ending the war.
Because without a ceasefire, we're not even at that point. We just have a continued military campaign and continued death and destruction inside Gaza, and hostages continue to be held away from their loved ones.
President Biden is taking executive action to cap the number of migrants crossing into the U.S. illegally to help with the surge at the border. It will not affect asylum seekers at legal ports of entry. Triple-digit heat taxing residents in the west and southwest states of the U.S. Temperatures in Phoenix set to top 110 today. This is ABC News.
From groan-worthy dad jokes to patching up skinned knees, your dad is one of a kind. Here's a Father's Day gift guaranteed to take him to his happy place, Omaha Steaks. Order mouth-watering gift packages starting at just $89 at omahasteaks.com with promo code QUALITY at checkout. Show your dad the love he deserves with an unconditional money-back guaranteed gift as unforgettable as he is. Visit omahasteaks.com, code QUALITY at checkout.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio. From the Nashville Sports Radio Media Complex. Welcome back to the George Plaster Show. Call George now at 615-844-5600 and online at WNSR.com. And now, George Plaster.
Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown, Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Kelly Holcomb, along with Young Gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
We welcome all of you into the 5 o'clock hour from our digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, where there are a lot of people here. Mitch Korn has got, I guess it's a goaltender camp going on over there and over there. And there were a bunch of Jacques Plante wannabes here today.
Who's Jacques Plante?
He was a great goaltender in the past. Kelly, your reaction?
Like in the 50s or 60s, George. When was that?
It's been a long time ago.
I was going to say. That was when they all didn't wear helmets, Sauce.
Yes. So I'm told that we do not have Marc Weiszer on the line yet, correct?
Not yet.
Okay. They had a really cool moment Sunday night. Their regional got down in Athens to Georgia versus Georgia Tech. NCAA likes to keep the teams as close as they can because they want the money. Bunch of money grubbers. Yes. Anyway, so they go to I think I've got this right. Georgia Tech needed to win Sunday night to force a Monday.
Yep.
Georgia Tech was up 5-4 going to the bottom of the ninth inning where Georgia would be at bat. Georgia tied the game dramatically, a little bit like North Carolina did last night, and then won it in the 10th inning. And I bet that was really a cool moment. I see that Mark is with us, and so let's bring Marc Weiszer from the Athens Banner Herald to our microphones. Mark, how are you?
Mark, if you would, unmute your mic, please.
Hey, good.
There we go.
There we are. Beautiful.
Well, I did unmute it. How are you guys doing?
Good. Hope you are.
Yeah, doing well.
So that had to be a cool moment. I know we're going to talk some football in a minute, but that had to be a very cool moment for baseball in and around that area to have Georgia and Georgia Tech going at each other.
Yeah, it looked like it may not have been a matchup at all because UNC Wilmington kind of shellacked Georgia Tech the first game. So I think fans were excited to get that matchup, and especially, on that stage. And Georgia had to really rally to come back. They they're down in the 8th inning. They got a homer in the 8th, homer in the 9th, and then went ahead with 3 runs in the top of the 10th. And they were the visiting team, which is kind of a weird quirk of that thing. So Georgia Tech still had to come to the plate in the bottom of the 10th.
Tell me a little bit about Georgia's past baseball history. I know they've won an NCAA title. My buddy Clint Salmons, I think, was on that team, a catcher who went on to play in the Braves system.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, first of all, about that stadium. What does it hold, and what is sort of the tradition in Georgia baseball?
I think the official capacity is under 3,000, but maybe it was 3,700 the other night. I think one of the SEC games this season was more than 4,000. It's been up and down, the tradition. I mean, if you look on their left field wall, they have a lot of years listed for going to the College World Series, but the last year they went was 2008. And they had some dips in between, winning it in 1990, and they went every so often, but then they would like have a hard time, even being, an upper echelon SEC team the following year. So David Perno had a lot to do with, those teams that went to the College World Series, but then he ultimately was let go. And Scott Strickland came along, who came from Kent State. He took a team to the College World Series there, but he never got Georgia out of a regional. Now, they might have had their best team in 2000, and then COVID ended that year in March. They had, some guys that went on to the big leagues in terms of pitchers. Jonathan Cannon was one in particular. I think he was on that team, or Emerson Hancock, actually, from the Seattle Mariners. So Wes Johnson's in year one, and he took LSU as the pitching coach, won a national title with them last year. So he's really taken them to a new level, considering they hadn't been there in a super regional since 2008.
And now it's NC State in the super regional. They got a heck of a shot at that, don't they?
Talking about Georgia to win this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I was just looking up. I was writing up something. Georgia's record is like 31-5 at home. NC State's record is like 8-12, something like that on the road. So, that's a tough thing, but you only have to win 2 games. And, if you get a really good pitching matchup or a good pitching showing, you can win that thing. And Georgia's starting pitching has not been on top of their game in the regionals, yet they still found ways to win.
Mark, somebody showed me something that you had written. I guess this has been a couple of weeks ago, maybe longer, about the cocktail party and the fact that Jacksonville is about to refurbish the Jaguars Stadium. What does that mean eventually for the Florida-Georgia series?
Well, the Jaguars are trying to only lose one season, meaning not played at the stadium. They're spending, more than $1 billion, I guess, to fix that place or to upgrade it and make it state of the art. Maybe kind of like the SoFi Stadium in LA, where Georgia played a national championship game. But they're going to have reduced attendance in 2026, which is going to be less than 50,000. So that's not going to work for Georgia. They're going to go with Florida somewhere else in 2026 and 2027. I think they're going to go back to Jacksonville. It just makes too much sense, when those 2 years pass by. Financially, they make a lot more money than they would if they played home and home. So, with this NCAA settlement, getting as much revenue and as much money as you can is what it's even more important now, because you got to pay the players, right? You got to pay them $21.5 million a year going forward. So that's going to be a neutral site game probably. I mean, they're not ruling out home and home, but I think that they want to play that thing, somewhere where they can again make a lot of money.
Okay, so the obvious would appear to be Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, but I've got to think Florida's sitting there going, this is a home field for Georgia, nothing more, nothing less. So does my city ever come up in the thought process?
I don't know if I've heard them pitching, a proposal. That's not one of the, Tampa, Orlando, Atlanta. Charlotte was even thrown out there, but I don't know if that's actually, legit. But I mean, I know you say Atlanta is a home game for Georgia, but I mean, some Georgia fans would say Jacksonville is a home game for Florida. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it turns out to be like Orlando and Atlanta those 2 years, but we'll see. I mean, the Jaguars might play their games in Gainesville. I don't think that's happening in this unless they do go for the home and home. And I'm not sure that's financially makes the most sense.
I'm writing this down. Did you say 25 and 26 are the years?
It's 26 and 27.
26 and 27. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to play 24 and 25. They're going to stay there the next 2 years.
Got you. Okay. Marc Weiszer joining us from the Athens Banner Herald. Kelly Holcomb, say hello.
Mark, how you doing?
Doing well, Kelly. What's going on?
So I want to go back to baseball. I just, like everybody around here, is UT crazy, and they've been Vanderbilt crazy, although Vanderbilt got bumped out, which Billy's upset about, and Georgia's a little upset about it too. But give us a little bit about the matchup between Georgia and NC State. What do you see as a plus for Georgia, and just how I know they're ready to play, but like just give us a rundown in the matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, Georgia playing at home is a huge deal. I mean, Wes Johnson has talked about how this team was built for this ballpark, Foley Field. They have a really short right field. Doesn't take much to get out of there. But Georgia's hitting the ball all over the field, spraying the ball. They have guys all over the lineup. Charlie Condon has set a record this century for homers. I think he's at 36 now, but they've got other guys that they brought in, transfers, Slade Alford, Colby Branch. Colby Branch had a grand slam in the Saturday game against UNC Wilmington. So Georgia's gonna smash the ball over the yard. NC State can probably do that as well. I think NC State's got some experience with Elliott Avon. I mean, they went to the College World Series in the last couple of years, and they didn't get beat to go home. They got beat because the COVID protocols sent them home. They had too many guys that weren't available. So, they have more postseason experience, but, I don't know if that matters anymore given how these rosters turn over so much. And, Georgia's got like 5 of their starters are transfers. So it's going to be hard to pick against Georgia at home, but, Army almost beat Georgia in game 1 Friday. And that's not a team you expected to have Georgia, on the ropes.
Well, I was going to ask you about the transfers, but the last time y'all went to the Super Regional, you made it to the College World Series. Do you think this team, and what makes this team different? I mean, is this, I know that everybody's getting transfers, and you got to be in the transfer portal, but I was reading something. I think Corey Collins was talking about it, or somebody just talked about how they fought the whole game, and it seems like that's the kind of team that Georgia has this year, a bunch of fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say. The one game they didn't look like they had much fight was the SEC tournament game against LSU. But, I think they knew that they were in pretty good shape. I mean, I don't know if they thought they were a lock to get a super regional. I think they were surprised, or I think I was surprised at least, to see them get a 7 seed. But, it probably turned out to be a good thing. Go home, didn't use any of their best arms in Hoover. And, it's a team that Wes Johnson has really instilled a lot of belief in them. And Wes Johnson is a guy that was a major league pitching coach for the Minnesota Twins before he went to LSU. But, Paul Skeens was his guy last year, now with the Pirates. But Georgia's, been a team that's been about power, and they have guys that can go out there and give you some innings. And, their relief pitching was much better. On Sunday, they hadn't been great down the stretch this season, but you think Wes Johnson is a pitching guy, but this team is about the lineup 1 through 9.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about, there's been some ups and downs in the program and in the tradition, and talked about the last time they were in this position was 2008. Wes Johnson comes in. Do you think this is sustainable for him?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if Georgia has the commitment from the NIL perspective, I think it certainly is. And, they brought him in because he has experience in the SEC, Mississippi State, at Arkansas. It was at Dallas Baptist before then. He's kind of a college baseball lifer, and a guy that's been a part of successful seasons. I guess if he gets to Omaha this year, it'll be his 3rd different program he's been a part of going with, or maybe it's 4th. I think it's 4th actually. No, it'll be 3rd. It'll be 3rd. But he's been around. Finally got his chance to be a head coach, and it's hard to say he hasn't overachieved. Georgia was somewhere down the bottom of the SEC East projections heading into the season.
So my last deal here, let's get to my sport, which is football. I was with Kirby Smart a long time ago when he went to Indianapolis, and he was in training camp, so I got to know Kirby a little bit. He didn't make the team, but he's done really well coaching football, and obviously learned from Nick Saban a lot. Are they reloading? Give us a little bit of insight of what's going on in Georgia football, because it's not like they have a total overhaul. They reload every year, and they're in the national championship talks, and he's got it to that point. So just, with transfers coming in, with guys leaving, how are they football-wise?
Georgia's in a perpetual reload. Like, they're never going to dip under Kirby, especially now with the college football playoff going from 4 to 12 teams. I mean, Georgia obviously back-to-back national champions in 21 and 22, and if they didn't lose to Alabama, they would have been in the playoff last year. So look, if you're going to have 10 years of 12-team playoffs, and it'll probably be expanded beyond that. I mean, you're going to see it go to 16 probably, right? There's no reason Georgia shouldn't be in the playoff like 8 out of every 10 years, and if they don't, you're going to wonder what happened. This year they brought in a bunch of new skill targets for Carson Beck, who came back and might be the number one quarterback taken in the draft next year, might be the number one overall pick if he has a terrific year. But they added 3 wide receivers. They added a transfer out of Stanford, and they're loaded on defense again with guys like Mykal Williams and Malachi Starks. So no dip for Georgia in terms of the talent level. The schedule is much more rugged. They got to go to Texas, got to go to Alabama, got to go to Ole Miss. So, this could be a Georgia team that gets in the playoffs with 2 losses. It's possible now, given that schedule, but, I wouldn't expect them to lose 2 necessarily, but they have some wiggle room this year with the way that the schedule strength in the playoff is going to look in.
Yeah. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and kind of on short notice, because I know you were trying to juggle schedule stuff around the baseball. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoyed it. Good to be with you guys.
Marc Weiszer from the Athens Banner-Herald joining us on the show. So, Billy, they also got London Humphreys from Vandy, who torched them at the beginning of the game a year ago here. He ran a slant and then outran Georgia's secondary.
Yeah, and Kirby said, I want that guy. There's the replacement for what's the guy's name? Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
And I think he'll do just fine as that replacement. Now, it's a loaded receiver room, but it's just funny, and that's obviously, as a Vanderbilt person, you hate to see it, but it is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
it happens.
That's what happens nowadays.
After the break, Kelly, I'm going to lay out the particulars of what I remember about a sporting event that you will be like, oh, my God. You won't believe it. So those of you who are going to hear this on radio, when you get home tonight, go on our podcast, because we'll have some film footage of it as well. I'll leave it at that for the moment. Keep quiet. It's a big secret for about 3 or 4 minutes. You're listening to The George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Nashville, get ready for the greatest show on turf. Electrifying, high-octane, non-stop spring football action. Starting at only $30. Don't miss the season opener this April 27th at Municipal Auditorium.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fisher. The Nashville Cats are bringing arena football back to Nashville.
Grab your tickets now at thenashvillecats.com and be part of the action.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Atlanta Braves baseball is back, and the battle for a 7th straight division title is officially on.
Hit high and deep to left center. This has got a chance. Gone! Another home run for Olsen. He smokes another one. He lit the fuse on this bomb, and that's gone.
Listen to every pitch live, exclusively on your home for Atlanta Braves baseball. WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
We are back. Kelly, I'm about to set the scene for one of the most infamous moments in sports. You ready?
Let's hear it. Let's see it.
Okay. So as a kid, I grew up kind of knowing that I was going to get in this business. And as a 14, 15, 16-year-old, I start listening to stations that actually talk some sports. Because there used to be this old wives' tale, all these idiot consultants out there used to tell stations, oh, you can't have sports talk in drive time. You know, it's got a disease. Well, so for a long time, the only two stations out there that did a lot of sports talk radio were KMOX out of St. Louis and the old 3WE out of Cleveland, which is now WTAM. 1100 on the AM dial. Pete Franklin, godfather of sports talk radio. He was on every night for about 5 hours, and I used to sit there going, how does he do that? Anyway, his beloved Cleveland Indians sucked. There was no way around it. And in that old 80,000-seat municipal stadium, on most nights, it really looked bad. You know, you could have 40,000 in there and it looked somewhat empty, but when you had 5,000, 6,000, as the Indians were the dead last draw in the American League, It looked awful. So one of their marketing people came up with Nickel Beer Night. 50 years ago today was Nickel Beer Night. And all I'll say before we run this is this. To my memory, in my lifetime, I believe there have been 4 games that were forfeited. This is one of them. Go.
1974, there'd be a magical convergence of forces that would draw fans who wanted to stick it to Martin and the Rangers. 10-cent beer night.
For $1, you could get a ticket in the bleachers for 50 cents and 5 beers. It was cheaper than the bar.
Since you're able to drink at 18, that brought a whole different and a younger crowd to the stadium.
Half the fans that were going to be there were there for the beer, not the game.
Now, I was only 16 and I couldn't drink, so why go to the game? But we had over 25,000 fans willing to spend pocketfuls of dimes before the first pitch was even thrown. 12 ounces of cheap beer was about to start 9 innings of trouble.
There was the woman who flashed the crowd with her shirt up, and then the guys who read across the field, father and son team. And they dropped their drawers and mooned the crowd.
A woman had come out to try to kiss Nestor Shylock, the umpire. I remember one guy jumping out of the third base stands with his clothes in his hands.
I'll never forget, he tried to get over the fence, and he had no 2 black socks, and when he came down, the cop had one sock in his hand and the other sock was on the guy's foot.
By the 3rd inning, the bleachers were loaded, literally. And trouble was a-brewing at the beer trucks that were brought in for the occasion.
They were just clearly understaffed. They had 2 girls working that. One was collecting the money and one was trying to pour the beers, and it just wasn't working. The tensions were rising, and they picked up one of the tables and just threw it right over the truck. And her and the other girl just walked away and left the truck there.
We just started filling up our own containers. And some people flipped the handle of the tap and just let it flow right into their mouths.
By the 5th or 6th inning, there were, 15 or 20 people jumping out of right field stands and 20 or 30 people jumping out of left field stands and running back and forth in between innings.
The first half of the game, frankly, we're having a great time laughing at all those antics, but suddenly it started to get serious. They started throwing cherry bombs into the Rangers' dugout.
This has been a night of blatant stupidity.
I must have had probably 15 or 20 pounds of hot dogs thrown at me playing first base. The one memorable thing I had thrown at me was an empty gallon jug of Thunderbird wine. I thought this is not all fun and games now. It's kind of gotten a little past the serious stage.
These kids were so drunk, the game really was not important.
Well, the fans might not have cared, but the team still did. The Indians had come from a 5-1 deficit to tie things up in the bottom of the 9th. But the beer fog had grown too thick. It was a powder keg full of designated drunks about to blow. One inebriated Indian fan lit the match when he came at Rangers outfielder Jeff Burroughs from the bleachers.
I just wanted to get his hat. So I ran up behind Jeff Burroughs and I had it in my hand, and then I dropped it. And so I went down to pick it up, and I looked up and he looked at me, and I said, "Oh, hell." He kicked me right in the thigh, and he stumbled and fell down from the kick, and then the fans just really started pouring in.
Now there's another group of morons running around in the outfield.
Billy Martin said that he thought that Burroughs had been knocked down, and so he gets a bat and says, "Boys, let's go get him." And then the Rangers are defending themselves against this mob coming in.
Now it's a full-scale riot. There has to be 200 people and more coming on the field.
Had it not been for the Indians players coming out to help us, it had been a real tragedy.
Hargrove has got some kid on the ground, and he is really administering a beating. That fella came up and hit him from behind is what happened.
One of the Indians players, Tom Hilgendorf, got hit with a piece of a chair.
Oh, this is absolute tragedy. I have never seen anything as disgusting as this. I haven't either.
With punches thrown, bottles flying, and 3 bases stolen, umpire Nestor Shylock took a chair to the head stopped the game and declared a forfeit for the Rangers. With the 50 security personnel overwhelmed, the Cleveland SWAT team was happy to pinch hit and finish the game their way.
We had riot sticks with us. We had to swing them. We had to use force sometimes.
I remember the tear gas they threw in there. That got control of the situation.
They turned the lights out. Everybody's gone except for 15 teenagers standing on top of the Rangers dugout, chanting for the Rangers to come out and fight. And so I went up there and asked them, what do you want trying to prove? Because the Rangers are gone. So some kid behind another one reaches out and punches me right in the jaw. He didn't even stagger me. He hit like a girl.
So all told, there were 9 arrests, numerous injuries caused by the melee, and the 3 bases stolen by the fans never were returned. So what do we learn from this? Well, an organist playing Take Me Out to the Ball game will not calm an angry mob. People can change. Terry Yurkic, the 19-year-old who grabbed Burrow's hat, grew up to become Citizen of the Year in Richmond Heights, a suburb 20 minutes outside of Cleveland. And 10-cent beer night is a bad idea. The Indians learned their lesson and swore never again. Nah, I'm just kidding. This is Cleveland, man. They tried it again a month later. I love this town.
Yes, Kelly, that is your city, baby.
Hey, I had one of those incidents as well. I was with the beer throwing. They were throwing everything on the field when it was the Cleveland Browns against Jacksonville, and I can remember it was upset about a call. I can't remember the exact details of it, but it caused mayhem in the stands, man. People were throwing beer. We got out towards the middle of the field, and I can remember, I just remember looking up at the top of the stadium and this guy chugging a beer all the way to the bottom. It hit somebody in the head. Luckily, it wasn't a bottle of beer. It was just a can of, and I don't even think it was a can. It was a plastic cup, but he threw it and hit somebody, man. It was mayhem. But people in Cleveland, they love their sports and they're passionate about their sports.
Oh, there's no question about it.
I don't think that 10-cent beer night is a very good idea.
Billy, imagine where they get in a room and the marketing staff is, they're kind of putting that out there. You would think that somebody in that room would say, whoa, wait a minute.
I mean, who originally brought it up, and how many people were in favor of it, as opposed to who wasn't in favor
Those
of it.
Fans loved it.
Now, do either of you remember the other forfeit in the 70s?
I wouldn't remember it.
Well, I'll guarantee you,
I do not.
Danny Evans will have some thoughts about it, and we'll ask him about it on Thursday night when he joins us. Disco Demolition Night.
Oh, that's right. Disco
at the
Demolition,
old
absolutely.
White Sox Stadium at Old Comiskey. And the deal was that it was a radio station promotion. Disco Demolition Night.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what they did, Old Comiskey, I want to say, held about 44,000. And they had a doubleheader scheduled. And the estimates, first of all, were that people just stormed the Bastille. They just knocked the fences in. And in the outfield, thousands of people got in there. And they said the smell of marijuana in that ballpark was unbelievable.
So that was at the old White Sox.
The old one.
Okay.
The old Comiskey, which I never got the chance to go to, but was the host of the 1983 Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
Right. That was another SC feature too, wasn't it? Disco Demolition.
I'm
I
sure
saw that. Yeah.
I'm sure it has been.
I remember seeing that.
When Pete Weber gave me the heads up that today was the 50th anniversary, and the scary thing is I am old enough to remember it. Now, I thought it was nickel beer night, but obviously they were much smarter than that and charged a dime.
That's funny. It was funny, too, that those two girls, I can't imagine the pressure that they were under trying to take money
oh my God.
and to get the beer to all these drunks. I can't imagine that. I would have walked off, too.
Unbelievable. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. We're going to open the phones after this break, and you take it wherever you want to take it. if you want to talk 10-cent beer night in Cleveland, I would love to do that. Let me also say that it did not completely destroy Jeff Burrows' year, because if you look, he became the American League most valuable player later in the season, and later was a future, about 3 years later, Atlanta Brave. So he was used to empty seats.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Okay, hit the phones, 615-844-5600. That is our number. I want to see 3 hearty souls who love talking sports to get on with us. You're listening to The George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM. As you might be able to tell, my buddy Stan Harrison, he's an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, but he's actually here to talk about Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, Middle Tennessee. I'm Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers, and we understand the stress it causes in having an automobile accident. We can help you ease the stress of the auto body repair process at our 3 locations. We're conveniently located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. We've got rental cars available, we have PDR technicians available, and we have windshield technicians available. Please stop by one of our places and see us if you need our services.
And by the way, when you come in his office, this just in, he's a sports fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Here's Stan Harrison for Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, George. We at Apple Collision Centers understand the stress that auto body repair process can put in your day-to-day lives. We at Apple Collision Centers, we have 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. You can stop by and get an estimate, or you can get one online at www.applecollisioncenters.com.
We are back. It looks like 3 hearty souls are on the line, so here we go. Dr. Detroit, good to hear from you.
Hey, Captain, my captain, always a pleasure, man. You're like a mentor to me. Your knowledge with the Braves and me growing up watching the Braves when I was a little kid. because my aunt owned a health food store in Marietta. It was just always one of our traditions to go to a Braves game. But you know what I want to do? I'm going to throw you a rope-a-dope. I'm going to be quiet, not say a single word, and I want you to express the extraordinary feelings the Detroit Lions brought you for a football team last year.
Oh, wow. So, Kelly, he has been a Lions fan since Methuselah.
Yes.
And let's be honest, not all of the memories have been great. An 0-16 year. I mean, to me, when a team, comes out of the ashes and all of a sudden a city unites, suddenly there aren't racial tensions, there aren't this. Sports teams unify, Kelly, unlike anything else in our society.
Yeah, they were America's team last year. I was for them. My wife was for them. We were all sitting here. I can remember that last game they played too, and I felt like Dan Campbell wanted to kick a couple of field goals, but he felt like that he had been doing that. That's just, he's a riverboat gambler. There's no question about that. And I just felt like he got into a situation where he says, I can't do that because, what are the players going to say? We've done it this way all year. But I love the way they're going. Jared Goff, he's really good. He's got, he's got some really good, talented guys outside. Defensively, they had to fill some gaps. But I think last year that they were America's team, and I was certainly for them every time they played. And they probably should have, gone to San Francisco and won that game. But, I hope, Dan Campbell talked about it. He said, it's hard to get here. Hopefully we can get back. And I certainly think I hope they get back. And I know that fans around the country hope they get back as well.
Well said for both of you guys. Kelly, what an honor. Yeah, it's just, I was definitely expecting a playoff Detroit Lion team, but my expectations on what they succeeded beyond the outer limits, my God, it was just thrilling. And hey, there's a Burger King I go to in Laverne in the morning sometimes. Her whole family's in Detroit, and she described it's like a high when the Predators were playing for Lord Stanley Cup, she said, because, George, if you remember that, you couldn't go to a bar in Nashville with seeing everybody in the most uplifted spirit, smile on their face. It was just a great vibe. It was a great time, and I'll never forget that as long as I am. And it was very nice of them to have the draft in the Motor City. But, no, that's it. I just thought I'd throw something a little different, how I am. You can
okay,
never
I want you to.
what's coming out of my mouth.
I want you to do one thing for me. Tell 100,000 of your closest friends to listen to the show, and get a few of them to call in. We love the interaction.
Done, George. I'm your Huckleberry. I'm here for you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you, Chief. See you guys.
Kelly, he goes back a long way with this.
Wow, that's awesome too. As a Detroit fan, that was a good question. I enjoy that.
Matt in Brentwood, welcome in to 95.9 FM.
Thanks for having me, George. I heard you talking about that 10-cent beer. I was curious, which SEC fan base would you trust the least with a 10-cent beer night?
LSU by a mile.
Not even close.
I can tell you,
Tennessee would be up there too.
Tennessee would be
second.
yeah.
I'm gonna say second.
Yeah. Although I'll say this, I think there are a bunch of schools in the SEC that you might ought to worry about. Here's the deal: when we were at LSU, the first time I ever went to Tiger Stadium, I was the sideline announcer at Vandy, and I want to say it was '84. And we were down pretty good. It was like 34-6, and we rallied late to get it to 34-28. I don't know why I'm thinking Mark Ratcher came in and sparked some things. And all of a sudden, I look up, and there's a whiskey bottle hummed right at me. And I remember the late Doc Crease made me go into that area 30-yard line to 30-yard line. He was like, you stay here. Don't go anywhere. LSU would be number one, but the other schools that have been mentioned would be they would be others receiving votes.
Yes.
Correct.
LSU drank Vanderbilt Stadium dry when they played there a couple years ago.
When Joe Burrow was there.
Yeah, they sold out of everything. So that tells you a little bit.
Yeah, they like to have a little hotty totty.
That's another school,
hotty toddy. Yeah, that's another one.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little more. They're a little more genteel about it, though.
Yeah, they're a little bit more sophisticated, not like LSU, but I think Tennessee would be up there too. I'm putting them second.
Yeah, Matt. Anything else? That was a great question, by the way.
That's about all I got. Thank you for taking the call, George. I think you also got to worry about maybe Georgia too. All that working.
Yeah, they absolutely.
They have beer in Georgia.
Yes, they do.
Let's go to Stephen.
George, you take care.
Thank you. Let's try Stephen listening on 107.9 up in Murfreesboro. Stephen, welcome.
What's going on, guys?
We're good.
What's up?
Answering that last question, I think Auburn should be up there, in my opinion. I went to the Vandy Auburn game. That was crazy for me. But switching gears a little bit, going to the WNBA, the drama between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and, everything that's going on there. Talk to me about that and how that's going on in the game of basketball right now.
Yeah, I know the Chicago Tribune did a big deal on what was a flagrant foul against her and basically tried to build it into something bigger. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've watched a ton of WNBA. I've probably caught 15 minutes of one of her games. So I don't know that I'm a great, I'm no expert on this. But the ones that do tell me this is not some league-wide vendetta to get her. Kelly, she's their meal ticket.
That's what I was going to say, George. I mean, you look at it, and she's at a different level now. She's with the best, women athletes in basketball. But, you hear that, everybody disgruntled about it and all that. But I'm like, they need to take a step back and thank Caitlin Clark for what she's done, because she brought money. She's brought people watching the games. She's selling out stadiums. I mean, you got to look at it that way. I know she did not play well the other day. She had 3 points, but it's a different league, and she's going to have to. It's going to take her time to get there. But they need to step back and say, hey, she's brought a lot of things to this league that we haven't seen so far.
She's sort of, if you go back about 50 years to 10-cent beer night, kind of Pistol Pete Maravich a little bit.
Correct.
For a league that could use some of this, Billy.
Yeah, and it's really political. I mean, you see the talking heads on ESPN get into it, and I kind of try to block out a lot of that because, you get political with it. But just looking at it naturally, I think it's great for the WNBA. I think it's great for the league that we're talking about it. I mean, certain people may not want to talk about it, but whether you want to or not, there's intriguing things happening, whether it's Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, or I forget the name of the girl that shoved her, but, I mean, that's intriguing.
Billy, too, before we go off the air, look up and see if there's anything out there about WNBA television ratings since Caitlin Clark got there. I'll guarantee you they're up. Now, how much, I don't know, but I'll guarantee you they're up.
Well, the ticket sales are definitely up. I'll say that. Especially because Angel Reese is in Vegas, right? I've heard. I mean, I think they're selling out that arena, too.
I'd like to be in Vegas. Stephen, I lost you there.
Yeah,
Anything else on your end?
No, that's it. I agree with y'all, man. I feel like, it's their meal ticket, and also, I feel like there's nothing really political going on. It's just just tough love kind of thing, First time in, being a rookie and everything. They're not going to lay down and just let her just walk into the league. No. I mean, that's how it's going to be. So, yeah, I agree.
They're going to let her know who daddy is.
That's true.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Angel Reese is in Chicago.
Okay, we got any news there?
On Saturday, CBS averaged 704,000 viewers for the Minnesota Lynx' win over the New York Liberty. So that was one of them. And also the Aces in Vegas, in their win of the Fever, they drew 333, I guess, is that million?
No.
Yeah, 1,000. No, not million. Certainly not million.
No.
But that is way up.
Yeah, from what they've been, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
when
bring
it started,
popularity to that. Yeah.
Okay, let's very quickly show tonight's plaster bet of the day.
Here we go. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. First, Padres lost last night.
Whatever. Very
George.
bitter, very disappointing.
George.
And so I know it's embarrassing. And yet, people who are hearing this on radio, I'm 106 on the good side, 129 on the bad side. I had the Padres last night. Who are we taking tonight? You'll never believe. I'm going with the Yankees.
Wow.
I need a win. Okay?
George.
I hate them, but I'm going with them.
I bet Terry is smiling right now. He's probably going to text you here shortly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
A Yankees hater, and you're taking them over the Twins.
I need a win desperately.
You do, absolutely. I agree.
Tomorrow on the show, Mike Organ from the Tennessean will join us at 4:20, and then we will check in for the second time this year with former Austin Peay quarterback Mike DiLello. When last we talked to him, he had gotten an invite to one of the Titans mini camps, if that's what we're calling it. Now, he has been for the last month in the UFL with the DC Defenders. We're going to find out what UFL football is really like. And why do they cram everybody on one side of the stadium to make it look good for TV? Yeah.
Have to do what you got to do. What you got to do, George.
Guess what? That
We're outta
music
here.
means we're out of here. Atlanta Braves baseball is coming up. And let me thank the folks at Comcast for absolutely nothing.